Now on CoastTV News.
Firefighters outside a large building fire in Berlin. What exactly burned down?
Projects stopped by the shutdown resume. How the record-breaking government shutdown paused one major project in Bethany Beach.
Cars driving through downtown Rehoboth. Why city leaders are taking a step towards new traffic solutions.
Well, we're expecting it to stay a bit on the chilly side of the morning time and a little bit of rain possibly over the weekend.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Fire taking over a boat and jet ski store in Berlin. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with the fire you were just watching on your screen.
Around 1:30 p.m., first responders rushed to the scene on Worcester Highway. Just take a look at all of that smoke. You can see how big that building is and how big the fire is. And firefighters moved in quickly to fight the flames. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zappe is live there in Berlin. And Kevin, it looks like there's action happening behind you right now.
Maddie, we are right outside the Bayside Jet Drive here in Berlin. And if you take a look right behind me, you'll see how much damage the fire did to the building. Now this right here is the front of the store, and just hours ago, it was engulfed in flames. On your screen now is the thick smoke our team saw as we arrived on scene. When we went closer, we saw multiple first responders working to put out the flames. At that time, heavy smoke was still pouring out of the building, and water was being blasted in from all sides. According to Berlin Fire Chief Andrew Gruden, everyone inside was able to get out safely. No injuries were reported. We spoke with Adam McMillan, who works right across from Bayside Jet Drive and was one of the first people to see what happened.
Our receptionist came running in saying the building was on fire. She was in tears, so I came running out, saw flames coming out the front of the building. She called 911. I went running across the street. We were grabbing propane tanks, getting them away from the building, making sure nothing was going to explode. They were trying to move boats and whatnot away from the building and just making sure everybody was out of the way. And then the fire department started showing up, started running lines, and let them do what they do.
According to Gruden, the fire is under control but not completely out, and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. I'm Kevin Zappe, live in Berlin, Coast TV News.
The historic 43-day government shutdown is over. The shutdown did not just hit Washington, D.C. It also pushed pause on projects here along the coast. Coast TV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is in our newsroom. Brandon, one of those projects years in the making is now back on.
Charlie, the Bethany Beach retaining wall project has been a long time coming. Bethany's town manager says once the project is done, it will prevent all flooding downtown. But it has been delayed another 43 days because of the government shutdown. This area of the Loop Canal is in line for a new 855-foot retaining wall. So far, only preliminary work has been completed, things like engineering studies, and no actual physical construction. George Hess, whose son has a house in Bethany, says he's happy to see the shutdown and the political squabbles end.
They keep fighting, and they don't take care of the people. They just take care of themselves. And I just think it's about time they started thinking about America instead of politics.
The town says the Army Corps of Engineers are now consulting on the project and will start issuing permits, but that could take up to a year and a half. And it's not just construction projects that took a hit during the shutdown. As Coast TV has previously reported, SNAP funding to run out nationwide at the beginning of the month. To cover the gap in services, Delaware declared a state of emergency using state funds to fill the void. Michael O'Brien helps run Casa San Francisco here in Milton, which acts as an emergency shelter and food pantry. He says after the shutdown ended last night, he expects things to go back to business as usual. Inez Steele from Milton says it's terrible that politics ended up taking food off of people's tables.
The shutdown holding things like that up, especially the SNAP program where it's affecting what's happening in people's homes, breaks my heart.
According to the Ag Secretary, federal SNAP benefits should start going out again Monday, and local projects like the one in Bethany should start showing signs of progress again as well.
The bill signed last night to end the government shutdown funds most federal agencies through January 30th and provides back pay to federal workers while also restarting suspended government agencies. Charlie, back to you.
This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what should first be funded as work resumes.
Let's take a look at the results. 63% say social services, 15% say small business, 17% say public works, and 5% say grant programs.
We have a comment from William. He says, take the pay of Congress and the White House and pay off all of the above.
If you haven't voted yet and would like to do that, you still can, CoastTV.com or our mobile app.
We're taking a live look into Laurel. Let's check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. Paul, what are we seeing? We're Thursday now. We're heading towards the weekend.
Well, right now, we're still enjoying the tranquil conditions for the most part across a good portion of the Delmarva Peninsula. Now, for example, Ocean City right now somewhat almost feels balmy compared to where we were earlier this week with the wind chill factor in the teens. Well, we'll get rid of that madness, correct? Now, as far as tonight is concerned, we'll drop back to 44 by 9 o'clock, and we should have mostly clear skies. There may be a smidgen of a chance of you getting a peek of some northern lights because it'll at least be clear enough, but the activity won't be as vibrant or radiant. That being said, I mean, we're actually starting to trend a little bit warmer, actually, but the temperature trend has been the interesting situation for us for this entire week, which we'll look at during our main weather segment. But thus far, we're still dealing with somewhat blustery conditions on the beaches with the current small craft advisory, which is mean watch out for 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the entire Delmarva Peninsula. That's going to carry on for the rest of this evening, and we'll have some of these small craft advisories allowed to expire for this evening. But the bottom line is we're still going to stay a bit on the breezy side. We'll talk about a chance of rain over the weekend. Till then, back to you.
Today, the Rehoboth Beach police chief outlined what he thinks the city needs to keep both drivers and pedestrians safe to a new committee. The two main topics, curbing speed and improving pedestrian safety, people we spoke with agree.
You just kind of come flying down Rehoboth Avenue and they're not really paying attention. And a lot of the traffic rules change, like now you can turn at certain intersections where you wouldn't have been able to in the summer. So if you're not paying attention, you could be trouble.
Crossing some of these busy roads is very dangerous. You know, I worry about even with the lights that they have, a lot of cars don't pay attention to those safety lights. You know, they'll try to zoom around. And, you know, I'm very concerned for the pedestrians, my own safety and others.
The committee discussed lowering the speed and adding signs, but nothing has been decided yet.
People who live in Newcastle County will have more time to pay their property tax bills for the next tax after the House of Representatives passed a bill during special session today. Senate Bill 206 extends the property tax payment deadline to December 31st. It's a follow-up to a bill in August which allowed school districts to set different tax rates. We break this all down, kind of a convoluted story right now on CoastTV.com.
With the government getting back to business, House lawmakers now turn their attention to the Epstein files.
President Trump calls it a hoax and a non-issue.
And as NBC's Jamish Al-Cinder shows us, a deep dive into newly released documents show the convicted sex offender mentions the president quite often.
For the first time in more than a month, federal workers are back on the job and getting paid. House lawmakers are getting back to work too on an issue President Trump can't escape: convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Speaker Mike Johnson now saying he will hold a vote next week on whether to require the Justice Department to release all files related to Epstein, even though Johnson fought a bipartisan effort to do so for months.
So we wanted to make sure that those names were properly redacted out of the files.
He drugged this out. It's caused nothing but political pain.
Johnson's announcement came on the same day the House Oversight Committee released more than 20,000 documents from Epstein's estate. Many mentioned President Trump, including a 2018 text between Epstein and an unknown person who wrote that the investigation into Epstein was really about taking down Trump. Epstein responds, quote, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down." A 2019 email also referenced the president, Epstein writing, quote, "Of course he knew about the girls," as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Last night, President Trump ignored questions about Epstein.
Mr. President, can you respond to these Epstein emails that were released today?
And he called the issue a, quote, hoax. But in the past, the president promised to release everything related to Epstein once in office. Then last summer, Attorney General Pam Bondi said after a review, there was no new information to release. That set off an angry backlash from MAGA supporters, many who believe Epstein's wealth and powerful friends allowed him to prey on young girls. Critics say President Trump could put the questions to rest by providing more information.
All of this can get solved right now if they release all the files.
President Trump has never been accused of any crimes related to Epstein and denies any wrongdoing. And even if the House passes a bill to release the Epstein files, it will likely not pass in the Senate and is even less likely to avoid a veto by President Trump. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Washington.
The Isle of Wight, why Worcester County government's satellite offices located here will close temporarily.
And going into the early morning hours, we're expected to be chilly once again. Not as cold as it has been, but still, we're not talking t-shirt weather here.
But first, take a step back in time to see how lives were saved along the coast long before the Coast Guard was formed. Up next.
Long before modern rescue boats and even radios, a group of local heroes saved hundreds using nothing but courage and some simple tools. In this week's Coastal Connection, reporter Kevin Zappe takes us to the nation's oldest life-saving museum right here on Delmarva.
Before the Coast Guard, the U.S. Life Saving Service was dedicated to rescuing shipwrecked sailors. And the old station along Route 1 is now a place where visitors can step back in time to learn just how important this station once was.
At that time, most people couldn't actually swim. So even if, shore was in sight, they were probably going to die before they got over here. So really important to have somebody who could respond.
Tyler Dreiblatt is the interpretive programs manager for the Delaware Seashore State Park. And he gave us a tour inside.
Now let's say you were actually on patrol and you saw a ship in distress, right? You can't call them up on the cell phone, can't use a walkie-talkie. So the way you're going to alert your friends is by using a flare. These Cosden flares.
After alerting everyone via flare, the real work started. Rescue crews sprinting to the boat room to move 1,000 pounds of gear to the water.
So you're moving literally a ton of equipment, for miles on sand to the wreck and then starting your rescue.
According to Dreiblatt, the life-saving station responded to 60 wrecks and saved more than 400 lives. This job came with limited living space, little pay, and constant risk. So why would someone take on the role?
They were really held in high regard. In a time before like movie stars or sports heroes, surfmen were some of the first big public heroes.
The life-saving station started in 1876, before merging with the Revenue Cutter Service to form the U.S. Coast Guard in 1915. Although this cupola is no longer used to watch for shipwrecks, it's still being used to help boaters out at sea.
And just last year, we put up something called Station Keeper, which is a whale monitoring program. So we'll get signals alerting us to whales in the area, and that will actually pass it off to other ships and kind of help reroute them. So again, we're not saving human lives here anymore, but we are still saving lives, and I just think it's a really cool legacy for us to have.
If you would like to see some part of coastal history, be sure to stop at the Life Saving Museum here in Rehoboth Beach that shows you what it took to save lives on the coast. I'm Kevin Zappe in Rehoboth Beach, Coast TV News.
The next couple of days are going to be a little bit on the interesting side in the sense of, hey, beautiful day during the day, a bit chilly in the morning time, uncomfortably chilly if you're not dressed properly, and then kind of recover nicely in the afternoon. Now in Ocean City, currently, we're holding at 55 degrees. Dew point is 25 at this moment and will drop to 43 under mostly clear skies for tonight. Temps right now mainly hovering in the 50s. We're looking at 55 in Georgetown, 51 actually for us in Gumboro as well as Dagsboro. And so we're in the 50s generally speaking throughout our area. But you know what? It's still a bit on the breezy side. I mean, it's not gale force wind breezy, but we're still talking about small craft advisory. So we're saying 25 mile per hour gusts still staying active. Looks like we may have this one from, let's say, Rehoboth down to Ocean View and down to Fenwick Island. Looks like that particular small craft advisory is going to stick for a while. We'll wait and see if these other ones, for example, the one from Ocean City down towards Chincoteague, if that will be allowed to expire. What's been very interesting from a climatological standpoint is how we've been trending more under the radar instead of over the radar, or underground, below the norm versus above the norm. 57 for the high today. Get to look at this trend here. We're looking at, for example, down here at the bottom, those are the temperatures in the last 31 days that have continued to trend below the norm, and the ones above the norm, not quite so much. So we've been in a cooling off trend for the last 30 to 31 days anyway. 36 for the overnight low, for example, in Georgetown, and then along the coast for Friday. Winds primarily out of the west between 20 up to maybe even 30 mile per hour winds. But overall, we start off clear on Friday, temps in the 30s. Then we recover nicely, but we see the cloud cover stream in the 50s. Saturday, we start off in the upper 40s, and then we climb into the 60s. So it seems like we're getting a little bit better, but then we have that little hint of rain that's going to slide through very quickly. Wind gusts are going to be interesting because as you take a look at our future gusts, Friday we're looking at winds at about 23 miles per hour out of the northwest. Then I'm skipping to Sunday. Sunday's going to be a uh-oh, here we go again. I'm going to say it one more time. Sunday's a uh-oh, here we go again. Back to that crazy cold wind that was cutting us up crazy. Going into Monday, that's going to be the situation too. So I'm letting you know now, we're not done with that cold weather. And then Sunday, we'll have that light scattered shower activity that's going to carry and careen out of our way rather quickly. And then what is it going to feel like in the future? Well, look at Tuesday, 28 next week. And going into Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be back to feeling crazy cold again. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Yeah, next week, we're back to being cold. So keep that coat handy, if you will.
We will, Paul. Thank you. New at 5, Worcester County government satellite offices at the Isle of Wight will close for renovations November 19th through the spring. The county says the treasurer's office and health department and more will be temporarily moved for renovation. And we are breaking all this down, exactly what's closing, where they will go, right now on our website.
Basketball fans are getting a front row seat to Delaware Bluecoats action this season. The Delmarva Sports Network teaming up with the NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers to broadcast 11 games through March 27th. The first of those games tips off tonight at 7 on DSN, featuring full in-game coverage with interviews and analysis.
So tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, you can watch that Delaware Bluecoats game live at 7 and the final score afterwards at 11.
And it's another week in the NFL regular season. This week on Coast TV, the Detroit Lions take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. and then stay tuned for Coast TV News hyper-local newscast right here after the game. And coming up next, Laurel High School seen from above, what caused chaos there this morning. Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5.
A student was stabbed today during a fight at Laurel High School. School Superintendent Sean Larimore says it happened at the gym as students were about to go through metal detectors. Larimore says a student was trying to break up a fight when they were cut above the knee, but nobody was seriously hurt.
The Trump administration wants to create what's called portable mortgages, which would let homeowners take their mortgage rate with them when they move instead of taking out a new loan. Just over half of homeowners have mortgage rates below 4%, according to Redfin analysis. Those homeowners with the ultra-low mortgage rates have been less willing to move. The administration is also considering a new 50-year mortgage option.
Here's a live look outside into Dover. One more check on the forecast after this.
So although we're trending a little bit warmer in the afternoon hours, please don't get it twisted because it's still going to be real chilly in the morning time. And if you don't believe me, that's okay. Mother Nature will remind you in the morning when you step outside. Now, we're at 48 degrees currently in Milford, and we are expecting for the temperature to eventually fall into the lower 40s under mostly clear skies with relatively light winds. Winds are going to back down a little bit. Now, we are still under a small craft advisory, technically speaking, particularly right along the coast for us for Sussex County. Now, we still have it at least activated until 7 o'clock from Ocean City down towards Chincoteague, and on the other side of the Chesapeake Bay, we're going to have the small craft advisory still staying active until Friday. So we're still looking at somewhat blustery conditions. That's not going to be all that comfortable, particularly in the morning hours. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Mary Collins of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Now, keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brugstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your extended and exclusive 10-day forecast. So we're trending up, 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 and then we fall right off that cliff again for next Monday. Now, please don't let the next couple of days of warmth fool you.
Okay.
Because the 30s are coming back in style.
Paul, I'm going to let them fool me. I'm going to enjoy them, and I'm going to be completely surprised when I have to walk outside and it's cold again.
Volunteer delusion. It works for all of us.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us here at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.